You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. There's something in the air, a dream of life in love, with minds that rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time will somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the hearts revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. This is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts come close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens, feeling all the hearts ignited now in you and me. The secret is wherever, the secret is whenever, the secret is together we are.
Good morning. Welcome. Happy Easter. Welcome to our CSL Sunday service here in St. George, Utah. We're so glad you're spending some time with us this morning. We are an open, loving, inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. Our purpose is to love, teach, guide, and support a spiritual community in creating and living a life they love using science of mind and spirit principles and practices. Our vision, CSL St. George, is a community-focused center actively living, sharing, and nurturing its members and their friends so that we all may live our best lives. So today's service team for this beautiful Easter morning. My name is Gwen Hadley. I'll be hosting the service. We have our rock star, Marina Anderson, behind the scenes, making everything flow beautifully. Alan Stanley, of course, is here to do our music. Singer, songwriter, he does it all. Our invocation will be given by our practitioner, Stephanie Starlet. So we're glad she's joined us this morning. And then our other practitioner, Sue Fulmer, will be providing the reading. And then we have a special treat because we have an extra Sunday in March. So we're going to have our practitioners unplugged, or plugged in, rather. So we look forward to you joining us. So with that, Alan, how are you, sir, this morning?
I'm doing great, Gwen. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Well, happy Easter, everybody. It's a beautiful day. So we'll sing this song and kind of quiet ourselves and our minds. And Star will come in and offer us an invocation, and we'll finish it off. And just sit back and relax. And welcome. In the silence of this moment, there's a holy presence near. In the silence of this moment, Spirit whispers and I hear. In the silence of this moment, my search for hope is done. In the silence of this moment, God and I are one. In the silence of this moment, there's a holy presence here. In the silence of this moment, Spirit whispers and I hear.
Thank you, Alan. Right here and right now, knowing that there is only one truth, one mind, and that mind is beautiful. That mind is incredibly clear and perfect and pure. And knowing this, and knowing that I am one with this, I create that within myself, that I am wonderful, pure, and clear, just as the divine is. I am made in that image. And because I know this for myself, I know this for each and every one of us listening or not listening. It is a choice. It is a divine opening for all. And it is eternal. And it is present every single moment. And so knowing that, I bless this service. I know that this service will unfold perfectly. and that there's a lot of beautiful expressions coming through today. And so I release this invocation, this knowing, this presence into the law that says, yes, this is happening. And I believe it with all my heart, might, mind, and strength. And so I let it go, as together we say, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Star. In the silence of this moment, there's a holy presence near. In the silence of this moment, Spirit whispers and I hear. In the silence of this moment, my search for hope is done. In the silence of this moment, God and I are one. In the silence of this moment, my search for hope is done. In the silence of this moment, God and I are one. God and I are one. I would like to welcome Sue Fulmer to offer our reading today. Hello, Sue.
Hi, thank you, Alan. Hi, everyone, and happy blessed Easter morning. I love spring. In fact, I published a small book of poetry and photography called Spring and Other Seasons. I would like to share a poem with you today. It's called Free to Be. I am reborn in spring. I breathe easy, like the tender new leaves emerging from winter's covering. I welcome warmth of sun, extend my arms and stretch, feeling light and unencumbered. I turn to the rising sun, following the worship of buds and blooms, seeking the light. Me, a child, freed from winter's grasp, running, singing, I join baby birds, leaving warmth of nest, flying free, free to be in spring. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Sue. So the first song we sang was written by a friend of mine named Judy Blackwelder, Dr. Judy Blackwelder, who lives in Tennessee. And I've been fortunate enough through the years to, during my rambling, to pop into the Music City, Unity of Music City, where she's the music director, and they would always let me get up and pick with them, and it was great. And she had a birthday last week. Happy birthday, Dr. Judy. And then she posts every week on Sunday morning. She'll post on her Facebook page her doing a song on her piano. She's absolutely great piano and songwriter. So this one she posted last week, and I just fell in love with it and asked her if I could do it, and she said, sure, go ahead. So in the normal, how would we say, country music style, I've taken her 20 chords and turned them into 3, but I still will sing the truth here. Thank you, Judy. There is a light always shining, always there if we will see, casting rays of hope and promise, shining love to you and me. Go to the light, it will embrace you, feel the warmth of its soul. It will comfort and sustain you. It's the safest place I know. It will not fade, it will not flicker, it will not dim in life's strong winds. It's powered by a source much greater, the sweet spirit that dwells within. There is a light always shining. It lights our pathways near and far, and in that light we are reminded of the strength of who we are. Go to the light, it will embrace you, feel the warmth of its glow. It will comfort and sustain you. It's the safest place I know. It's the safest place I know. Happy birthday, Judy.
That was beautiful, Alan. What a perfect song for Easter. Thank you very much. And so now, as I said, we've got the plugged in practitioners. So we've got 3 lined up for you, but I'd first like to bring in Stephanie Starr. Good morning.
Hi. Yeah, I'm changing my name back to my original name. So it's
Okay.
Stephanie Starrett. Yep.
It might take us a while.
I know, but I promise it's going to stick this time. All right. So good Easter morning, life, and to all who join our CSL St. George audience. Welcome. I'm Stephanie Starrett. You know, you are life expressing your unique self. And I invite you to stay awake with us by remembering to love yourself every day. Remember, you are love itself eternally. This month's theme was, that's how we've never done it. At first, I thought, what a weird way to say something. But as I reflect on it now, I'm going, yes, in every present moment, we never say the same thing twice. So it's never been done before until the present moment. And then it's done again and again, but not from the past, from right now. And so as I go over this month's weeks that we had, I'm just going to kind of recap. Week 1 with Reverend Joe, it began with, it's a brand new baby day. He asked us to consider what we're grateful for. What would it feel like to let go of the past, to fully trust, appreciate, and engage with in a new now each moment? I love that word, engage. For all you captains of your own enterprise consciousness ship, infinite possibilities are our birthright. Now, will you seize the present moment and engage? Then week 2, up until now, he goes on at our own in-person service about good, bad, and ugly, and when I take responsibility. For me, I use awareness, which to me is the same as knowing, and forgiveness, which in turn releases no longer needed patterns. Attachments and resistance are the same thing, and dragging them around serves no purpose whatsoever. I am the director of my own consciousness, and so are you to your own consciousness. We honor ourselves when we let go. Honor is a huge component in loving yourself. To love the divine, we must love ourselves first. And remember, before you were born, you were love first. Then in week 3, we had a new now. What's next? First, I will say, guilt of any kind is useless to anyone. Become grounded in self-love this Easter. We can rise from crucifying ourselves again and again as Jesus showed us, by dying to the old. His number one saying is, believe, and it is done unto you. He said that so many times in the Bible. Believing holds every thought, word, and action and secures it like a bridge to the subconscious, and it is then sanctified by the law of being. Repetition strengthens belief. Love and the law implement the steps to move forward. As we surrender to this active principle, mountains are moved or climbed, and with an ease we haven't remembered for a long time. Either I trust the divine in me, or I choose to stay in a misled guilt going nowhere. Week 4 with Reverend Savannah Noel, Tell Me Something Good. We relearned to recognize when our intellect was running the show or tries to figure it out on its own. And then we create a loop trap. It doesn't work well. We can realize that our intuition transcends the intellect and delivers a divine solution. The more we recognize this happening in our lives, the easier it becomes a steady flow stream. Again, our belief in whatever our desire may be is the map to it already being done. Remember the vision of the new territory you desire to live in, like a world that works for everyone. So we as practitioners, myself, Sue Fulmer, Bill Smith, Christopher McCardle will cover today's topic. Don't go back to sleep. This Easter Sunday, I believe and claim I am risen as I identify myself to the Christ itself in Stephanie, to be self-realized and never go back to sleep again. There's a slide I'd like to share with you by Rupert Spira. Just a minute. Okay, there is one being, God's being, temporarily clothed in thoughts and perceptions, seeming to become a temporary finite self, but never actually ceasing to be itself. Wow, just think about that. I vision and believe that I am that. I vision and believe I am abundance, health, truth, and power. I release all baggage that says otherwise. I fire the old ego and create a new me-go that serves my heart. I'm going to read you this little poem that I worked with Ulrike online, and it is really beautiful. I become present, engaged, and alive, that I can hear everyone breathe around me. I feel like the whole universe is inside, right where the heart is supposed to be. I am safe, loved, and powerful. I can do and be anything I desire. The I in me is not Stephanie, it is greater. It moves through me. I suddenly know there is more here than can be humanly comprehended. There is no who am I, there is only what am I. I am the cosmic pure eternal dancing as a human for a while. I dress this humanness with vibrations, thoughts, and words, any I may wish. I have the power. I am in charge of what I am. I am free. I make all things new again. I feel timeless, unlimited, and free. I am spirit. My very presence is a gift. I feel this powerful release. I am beginning to trust that everything is just the way it should be. Creation is already done, unfolding just as it is. I believe and vision it, and it is done. I know I move through it, experience it. I'm connected to others. I see the self in everyone. I see souls smiling from everywhere, and everyone is on their own chosen path. I see so many awakening their hearts and minds free. I hear the sweet promise of another era. I feel it as it gently hugs the earth. I hear new music playing, kids laughing, and flowers blooming as butterflies are dancing in harmony and love. And suddenly I feel so fortunate, privileged, and grateful to be alive. I believe in myself as God created, and as I believe, it is done. The old Christianity crucified this simple belief statement. No more. I am the new earth, the new human. I think justice, order, and harmony about my fellow human. I believe in my new idea. When I believe it, I know I have it. I stay awake in the premise I am God created. In this lies all power necessary to accomplish any good deed I choose. I stay awake to the new Christianity in Stephanie. I love what is risen this day in myself. You can do the same, no matter what spiritual path you're on, and despite any circumstances that is faced. If you choose to join us on Dune today, I'll share some of the things that have impacted us to enter this new risen world that I now live in. Will you stay awake and rise with me this Easter? Are you awake, Sue Fulmer? I know you are, so take it away.
I am awake. Thank you, Stephanie. Beautiful. I'm happy to share some thoughts with all of you today. I love my position as a practitioner and feel honored to speak along with my friends. So I'll start with a joke. I thought I should warn you, a joke is coming. So, why are people so tired on April 1st? You're probably thinking something about April Fools. No, it's because they just completed a 31-day march. You know, it's not easy to tell a joke on an online service. You don't know if anybody's laughing. We need some canned laughter on here. Well, the 31-day march for your practitioners is ending with this opportunity to speak to you today. And excuse me. And you can be sure that we've been thinking about it during the whole march. I like how Eugene Holden's column in this month's Science of Mind magazine introduced the theme for today. Eugene said, stay awake. Being alive in our spiritual magnificence, I repeat, being alive in our spiritual magnificence, that's every one of us. That makes it nearly impossible to go back to sleep, even when we want to. Stay awake to who you are, because the world needs you. My favorite talk this month was the in-person meeting on March 10th. Reverend Joe delivered a great message that day, and he quoted Ernest Holmes that I would like to use that quote also. We are carrying the negative experience of our past into the future merely because we have not disconnected them from our minds. If we are creating a negative future, it is because we have not changed our thought about it. This brought to my mind something I've been wanting to teach a class about, triggers. What are the things we haven't changed our thoughts about that we keep buried deep inside us, but that come out screaming and kicking if the right button is pushed? You know, it can only take a word and we feel an adverse reaction. What are your trigger words? Do you have any reaction when I say preaching, evangelism, church, mankind, God, tithing? Or what about being told that only certain people can have authority to do certain things and that only certain people are chosen to go to heaven? Let's take one of those words, tithing. If you've had an experience that tithing was expected and it was like buying your ticket to heaven and you didn't feel like you could pay, then you knew you were going to hell. And how does that word hell feel in your body? Those feelings of unworthiness and insecurity are threatening to us, and a serious reaction can be triggered by just one word. It was interesting what came up when our leadership team was reading The Purpose-Driven Church by Rick Warren while we were working on our new purpose, mission, and values. The book is very traditional, and the religious discussion brought up so much discomfort that some of us refused to read any further in that book. These are all church-related topics. Many of us are in recovery from childhood church trauma. What about in society in general? What we experience in childhood, in our schooling, jobs, or just life can give us triggers. Michael Singer, in his wonderful book, The Untethered Soul, explains that during the normal course of our daily lives, we will all have experience that bumps into our thorns. He explains these thorns as trapped emotions in the body. I quote, "We should be grateful for these disturbances and allow this energy to escape. Do not push these feelings back down, like don't go back to sleep. You are now aware. Be the observer of the process. You're not a child anymore. You can handle some discomfort. Allow yourself to cry, scream, and do whatever. When it passes, you will be free." There's a spectrum of reactions to certain words and circumstances that we have stored as triggers, thorns, or as Singer refers to them, samskaras. We may react to that sensitive nerve being touched with complete acceptance or with a serious emotional reaction, depending on our stress level at the time. The button may be pushed, and then you find yourself overreacting. So have you ever done this? Say someone is pulling into your parking space that you've been waiting for. Someone cutting you off in traffic. How about someone in a checkout line with more items than they should have for the quick lane? I know I used to wonder why I let things like that get me so upset that I really regretted sometimes things that I would say afterwards. Those triggers brought things out that I would never have intended. Our experiences that cause grief or shame and guilt leave thorns in our nervous system. They can cause us to withdraw or to get in the fight or flight mode. And sometimes you give up the baby with the bathwater to escape the pain. When someone or something keeps pushing your buttons, you may make rash decisions and actions that are more destructive than you intended just to get out of the pain. The damage of overreacting because of a trigger may be saying things you later wish you hadn't, losing control, damaging your peace and your relationships, damaging your position, and losing respect. Overreacting is a big indicator that you have a trigger that hasn't been dealt with. Someone may irritate the heck out of you and you don't really know why. I know my work with past lives that we may be dealing with that person now in order to clear the karma or finally rid ourselves of a trigger that has been traveling with us through lifetimes. I like this insight from Ernest Holmes. You and I could not criticize unless the criticism was in us, demonstrating repression and projection. You will see nothing in anybody unless you have it in you to see it. You are what you say, and what you say is what you must become. You cannot see a thing in me, but what you see in yourself first. That was from The Science of Mind. And Jim Lockhart wrote, we all have shadow aspects and we all project them onto others. When someone else's behavior triggers our own shadow, we deny that we ourselves are the source of our discomfort and blame the other. If we don't develop an awareness of this, we continue to do it. It's an unconscious process. The only way to become aware is to notice when we react in a strong emotional way. Nearly all, if not all, conflicts in human relations are due to this unconscious projection and denial of shadow, unquote. And that's denial of our triggers. I recently observed myself reacting in a strong emotional way. I was invited to go with friends to tour the new LDS temple. I spent many years as an active Mormon. I thought I had my emotions handled about leaving that church, and I was surprised at the reaction I felt in the temple. I first felt a bit nauseated, and as the tour progressed, I struggled with breathing. I was starting into a full-blown anxiety attack. I have always said I appreciate my experience in Mormondom as my early training in spirituality. I realized with this experience that I have emotions that tie the church to my divorce and feelings that I had lost my children. And these feelings can trigger a near PTSD experience. Divorce was the best. I'm practicing saying how I'm healing this is I'm practicing saying out loud that I am grateful for all my experiences. Divorce was the best decision at the time, and I am grateful for the courage that I had to take that step. It has all worked out for the best for me and my family. I can now remember anything from that experience and feel peace and gratitude. It's not over. My healing will continue as I progress with my spiritual practice. Quoting Michael Singer from Living Untethered, when you commit to spiritual growth, you work on letting go of the stored blockages of the past and not storing any more from the present. You are not willfully forgetting life experiences. You are simply not resisting or clinging to those experiences, and thus not storing them as samskaras. They remain harmless, objective memories. So become aware of your triggers, and through spiritual practice with the aid of the Holy Spirit, you can remove it. Remember, nature abhors a vacuum, so consciously replace the reaction with a different action. You can heal the wound by practicing forgiveness. With stubborn traumas, you may want to meet with a practitioner, even get therapy, like the treatment EMDR that is used now a lot. It moves the experience from a part of the brain that triggers a negative reaction to a part of the brain storing non-reactive memories. In my practitioner training, we practice what is called peeling the onion. It's an analogy for doing our work. I found that it's helpful to go through the layers of our internal emotions and review the things we might have stored there. Removing different layers of the onion or investigating how we became who we are may reveal our triggers. It occurred to me in preparing this talk that peeling an onion often causes tears. So with each layer, we may find things that hurt, maybe even things that bring tears, but we keep peeling and healing. Once aware of our false beliefs and sensitivities, we can investigate them in a safe environment, perhaps during meditation or deep contemplation. Then, becoming more aware, we notice when one of those thorns gets pushed and it hurts. We realize there's a reason for that, and it's calling for release. Think about it. Why does this trigger me? Don't just go to sleep to avoid the feeling. When something is triggered, don't withdraw, bring it out, and heal it. Don't blame others to push your buttons, remove the button. It's your responsibility, it's your button, it's your onion. Healing is a continuous journey, step by step. It's a garden that we weed over and over because those damn weeds are so persistent. Ernest Holmes said, "We have the ability to transcend previous experiences and rise triumphant above them, but we shall never triumph over them while we persist in going through the old mental reactions." It's up to us to pause, listen, and take care to create the lives we want. As the saying goes, if you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. And like our theme this month, that's how we've never done it. In order to not let those triggers control our thinking, we have what we need. We have just what we need. We know the universal law that we can change our reality in the realm of thought, which is the cause. We trust ourselves to create something new, and we know that we have the power to do that because of who we are. The future condition lies in catching a glimpse of what our triggers are, healing the triggers, and replacing them with what is possible, what is more positive. Eventually, we will remove those triggers and have more wisdom about what we store inside those feelings. That sounds like freedom, peace, and a happier life to me. May we all wake up to this truth. And now it's time to wake up Bill. Hey, Bill, are you awake?
I am, Sue. Yes. Good morning.
Take it away.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and happy Easter. So what's wrong with sleep anyway? I mean, most of us are sleep deficient. Sleep is generally considered vital for life, something we all need. I like sleep. I try to get as much as I can, but I find that more than 7 hours or so really doesn't serve me. But sleep isn't just idle time. I solve many of my problems while I'm sleeping. There's something about the subconscious mind that allows things to come into focus while I'm sleeping. I have a good friend named Harry Carpenter who wrote a book called The Genie Within, in this book he instructs ways of making your subconscious mind work for you while you sleep. It's a great read, and I've learned a lot about how the human mind and the brain works from his book. I think, however, that this isn't the kind of sleep we're talking about today. Going back to sleep, in this case, refers to a spiritual condition where we find ourselves in situations where we ask ourselves, what am I doing here? How is it that I'm dealing with this situation again? How does this science of mind stuff really work, for me? And how does going back to sleep present itself? Well, for me, the telltale signs can be many, or they can be pretty specific as well. But what I find is that I'm suffering from apparent lack. Now, I use the term apparent as I know that I'm never really in lack, as I know that I live in an abundant universe, but I sense this apparent lack in several ways: abundance, health, and relationships. And the feeling can be frustrating, bringing up questions like, I've done all this good work for all these years and I've come so far. How is this stuff happening to me now? What's wrong with me? I thought I moved beyond these difficulties. Yeah, that's the falling to sleep, back to sleep that we're talking about today. Ernest Holmes had this to say about continuous growth. As we gradually wake up, we wake up to what already exists in the mind of God. And because we wake up to it, it appears to us. And that's from his book, Ideas of Power. As we are both human beings and human doings, the realization that we have fallen asleep brings a feeling that we should do something about it. That the situation is unacceptable and that living in a state of substandard consciousness is simply unconscionable. The first appropriate reaction is prayer, which is often helpful, but sometimes it seems that a little more is required. And as metaphysicians, we know that our thoughts are the basis of how we live our lives. But sometimes the thoughts I have are all focused on the problem, and it requires something different to pull my thinking back to where I know it should be, to where it has been, to a place that's really beneficial to me. What to do? Well, recently I've gone through a similar experience. The old thoughts and feelings of lack had crept back into my consciousness, and to borrow a phrase from today, I had gone back to sleep. And awakening from this particular slumber seemed to require more than the normal pray and meditate. I felt like I needed something concrete to meditate on. And I'm sure that I'm not alone in this point, but I have an entire bookcase over here, just overloaded with spiritual books. I've read them all once. You see, I have this thing about reading. I read a lot, but I resist reading the same book twice. Whether it's a pleasure book, or an FBI thriller or something like that, or a spiritual book, I only read them once. And I seem to view it as a kind of competition. See how fast I can read this book, return it to the shelf at the library, and move on to the next one. Like it's, whoever reads the most books wins, that kind of thing. So many of the books on my spiritual bookshelf are practically brand new. Read once, read quickly, and waiting. But waiting for what? I'll get back to the books in a minute. But meanwhile, the opportunity presented itself to join many of our CSL St. George members in our latest class called Prosperity Plus. Now, I'd taken this class in its first incarnation 9 or so years ago and realized that it was extremely helpful in shifting my prosperity consciousness. So I decided to sign up and take the class. In the class materials was a book written in 1921 by Genevieve Barrand called Your Invisible Power. Upon seeing it, I thought to myself, I've already read this. I probably won't get anything out of it. I'm just going to skip this part of the class. I already know this. And I was apparently still asleep. Well, on a particularly slow Sunday before the first class, I decided to read the book. And it absolutely gave me that wake-up shake that I needed. As I read the short book, I realized that I'd read all this before, but this time I took the time to reflect on what I was reading and how it offered a different perspective on much of the work that I'd done since then. And since it was written like pre-Science of Mind, the jargon and the wording was much different, and it approached my mind from a different angle. It offered a different viewpoint, and it stuck. Here are a couple of the passages of the book that really moved me. She says, "You have learned that asking and seeking have as their correlatives receiving and finding. You know that all you have to do is start the plastic substance of the universe flowing into the thought molds of your pictured desire, the thought molds that your pictured desire provides." And I started thinking about plastic substance. Wow, that's really interesting. And the thought molds, even though she spells it in that English version of molds, it just kind of made me think. And we'll talk more about this plastic substance in a minute. She also goes on to say, your personal advance in evolution depends on your right use of the power of visualizing. And she talks about visualizing like we do about how we conceptualize our desires, how we have that spiritual picture. And your use of it depends on whether you recognize that you yourself are a particular center through and in which the originating spirit is finding ever new expression for potentialities already existing within itself. This is evolution. Well, that really got me going. Loved the rest of that book. Reading her book reminded me of one of my favorite reads in the past, though, Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. So I went to my spiritual bookshelf, dusted off the past 8+ years of dust from the book, and dove in. But this time I read to immerse myself in the substance of the book, not just to finish it in warp speed and put it back on the shelf. The result was even better than I expected. And I've been using it as a source of meditation over the past couple of weeks, simply opening the book, reading one of my highlighted sections, closing my eyes, lean back, and let the words and thoughts sink in and through me. It's been fabulous. Here are some of my favorite highlights from the first few chapters. Eric Butterworth says, lack and limitation of any kind are aberrations in an opulent universe. Any person who is experiencing lack is in some way living in opposition to the universal flow. And that opposition to the universal flow is kind of where I felt like I'd been lately. As I read on, he was talking about some of the recent research, and this is a book that was written several years ago, so it's not as recent as it was then, but it's still valid. And in the research was talking about that medium that's between all particles, and that the current research considers that medium to be more important than what the particles are. So I started thinking about myself and my concept of where my body, this physical body that I live in, where it ends and the rest of the world begins. And it's part of our human perspective to see ourselves as separate from that. And it's part of our spiritual objective is to see ourselves as connected to that. And so I started thinking about, there in the world outside of my physical body, there are particles, and they're separated by this as Ernest Holmes called undifferentiated medium, and what Eric Butterworth just calls substance. Now, if you think about this substance outside of my body and the substance inside my body, they're really the same. They're supporting different molecules and different particles that are vibrating at different speeds and have different colors because of that and things like that. But really, there is no differentiation. So we can take that human perspective of me versus everything else and say, no, I am really part of all that is. And that was a significant shift for me. I guess to summarize it all up, change is simple, but it's not easy. Sustaining is even more difficult. And if you feel like you may have fallen back to sleep, hit that spiritual bookshelf. Relearn something you thought you had already mastered. So I'll end this on a Rumi poem. We knew we couldn't do a talk without one. This is appropriately titled, though, Don't Go Back to Sleep. Don't go back to sleep. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the doorstep where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Thank you, Rumi. Now I'll try to wake up Christopher and see if he can take us home from here. Christopher, you awake?
Yeah. Okay.
Whoa.
I was having this dream of all you practitioners like saying all these super profound things, and it was amazing me. So I am here, Bill. Thank you.
Well,
for
I hope
your...
it was a good dream, Christopher, and welcome to the world of the awake.
It was a fantastic dream.
All right, take it away.
I shall. So, how did you guys like those practitioners? Just, you know, when you're the last person or the last practitioner to talk, it's really quite nice if you don't come prepared with a talk, like I often do not do. I just have to go with the flow of what's actually happening. And to get, you know, 3 practitioners that deliver these powerful messages is just beyond me. So my piece of this was the power of the new idea. And as you've all heard, there's been quite a lot of new ideas, which are old ideas, which we've all heard before. And as Star kind of, you know, briefed us all in on the whole month's worth of talks, the brand new baby day, the good, the bad, the ugly, the self-love, and all that stuff. It's all stuff we hear all the time. These are all lessons that we've been repeatedly brought into. And my piece, the power of the new ideas, is we've got to use the power of these words, of these lessons, and use them in our day-to-day lives. I can't remember who. Was it Bill or was it Sue that said the fight or flight mode? And that kind of rang like a really powerful kind of feeling within me. And it's with the brand new idea and living it. We experience life in a way that doesn't feel good. That we get all in this turmoil, and we have that desire to either pull back, run away, or fight. And I invite you to use the term fight as to fight the old reaction and just be in that moment. Where you see a situation and you feel yourself welling up and you go, hold on, you know, what is mine to do in this experience? What can I seek out to make this experience not so bad? Another thing that came to me when I was doing a little bit of my research was, I love the saying, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always gotten. And that goes with thinking, and that goes with using all of this teaching. If we go back to the way we thought, and we go back to the ideas of not doing meditation, and not relaxing, not praying, not taking these experiences and these lessons that we get and actually utilizing them and practicing them on a day-to-day basis, we're going to get the same kind of stuff. We're going to have the same kind of drama. We're going to have the same kinds of experience, you know. And the good, the bad, the ugly. The bad comes, the good comes, the ugly comes. It's all there. It's what we do with it. It's how we process it, how we go within, how we look at the divine. You know, when Bill was talking about the particles outside of ourselves and we're all one with it, there's a space between all of those particles. Like even my body, my physical body, there's particles, but there's space in between all those particles. So how is this me holding up together? It's through that one, it's through that energy, it's through that source that's available to everyone. It's the space between the particles is there for everyone. And you just have to tap into it. So you've got to use these new ideas. You don't have to, but I find for myself that if I don't practice, if I stop meditating, I don't go to service on Sunday, I don't read, I don't study, I don't do anything for myself, I find myself going back to just being caught up in all of the drama. And it doesn't feel good. And it you know, it weighs heavy on my body, my reaction, my friendships, my family, all that stuff just doesn't sit well. So, you know, the concept of this month, that everything that has come from, you know, looking at each day as a brand new day, experiencing the good, the bad, the ugly, you've got to have that self-love. You just have to. And, you know, and Reverend Savannah, tell me something good. I mean, tell yourself something good. You know, tell yourself that I can look at life's experiences and I can see them in a different way. You know, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of sad stuff in the news, you know, and it can become overwhelming to me. And I have to go back within and I have to just settle into it and just know that there's a bigger, higher idea here. And those inner voices, you know, you have an experience and you have an inner voice like, don't do this. But if you keep doing it, if you listen to just the soft little whisper and not wait for the big bang, you're going to have a much better experience. So I'm going to look at my notes real quick. So I just give you this idea. There's a couple ideas I want to give you before I finish. And it's like, what if our greatest and most difficult times are actually the gateway to the most wonderful thinking that we've ever experienced? What if it's all just an invitation to transform and become the catalyst for something new to be created? You know, what if all of these situations of our own life's experiences are just the perfect opportunity for you to become a better version of yourself, no matter how good or bad they are? So if you really want to know why you are here and what your purpose is, take those experiences into meditation. Listen, go within, listen to the whispers, you know, listen to the whisper and live entrenched in the power of new ideas. So with that, I'm going to go into our closing affirmation slide, which if you all say together, just hold on to this idea. I embrace infinite possibility as I live the love that I am. And that is an affirmation. So with that, I'm going to close today in gratitude, knowing that all of this is unfolded in just the most perfect of perfection, that each person in our audience has listened and has heard something new, a new idea that was transforming, that is the catalyst of pulling them into the creative force that they are. So in this gratitude, I give absolute joy to the fact that our practitioners get to speak to you 1/5 Sunday every few months. And in this, I just let it be, let service close. And as we say that together, and so it is.
Thank you. This was a super pack of our 4 pracs.
I love when the pracs all have different perspectives on things.
I love it. I love it too.
I actually took more notes than I ever do just listening to the other practitioners talk.
I know. Good stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Well, I hope you all got as much out of that as I did. It's nice to remember things that we've forgotten. So now some announcements. You've had a chance to get to know our pracs a little bit better and know that they are here ready and willing to pray with you or for you. You can see on the screen the email, so please reach out if you need prayer. Join us for our Zoom conversation at noon to continue this discussion. And remember that our next in-person service is April the 14th. Plan on staying a few minutes after because we will have our annual meeting at that time at 12:30. So we hope you can join us. Living in the flow, abundant prosperity. We are so grateful all the ways that you support CSL St. George. You can give with Zelle, you can give online, you can see the PayPal link in the website, or scan the little QR code or by mail with a check, whichever you choose. We are so grateful for all that you do to support us again. So upcoming Sunday, April the 7th, we've got Rev Joe back. And then on April the 14th, our in-person gathering at Masonic Lodge. So please join us in person. And now Marina is going to pop us all up into the picture so that we can do our closing affirmation. There's Marina behind the scenes. Okay, please join us and say this out loud. It's such a powerful affirmation. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it. I embrace it and I share it.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way all of our voices and sounds are becoming.
Thank
Thanks.
Thank you, live. Thank
Bye,
you, love.
everybody.
Bye, everyone. See you on Zoom if you come.